Dear Hank and John is supported by Simple Contacts, the convenient way to renew your prescription and reorder your contacts from anywhere in minutes. Simple Contacts has all of the brands and types of lenses you are familiar with, and you can get $20 off your contacts at simplecontacts.com/DearHank20 or enter code DearHank20 at checkout.
Listener supported. WNYC Studios.
Hello, and welcome to Dear Hank and John.
Or as I prefer to think of it, Dear John and Hank.
It's a comedy podcast about death, where two brothers answer your questions, give you dubious advice, and bring you all the week's news from both Mars and AFC Wimbledon. How you doing, John?
I'm doing well. We're in the same place right now. We're both in Missoula, Montana. Hank right now is opening up one of the 378 pieces of peanut butter taffy we received here at the Missoula offices. Thank you, person who sent that. Hank, do you have a name?
It says Salty Road on the package. I don't know who sent it.
Well, we're very grateful for it, and if you could just turn the microphone away and also leave the room, because that is the loudest chewing noise I have ever heard in my entire life.
It was really chewy.
Oh my God. I just found out a new fear that I have, or a new thing that causes me anxiety, and it is the sound of my brother chewing loudly. So I'm doing well. Hank, for the last 3 weeks we've been on tour together, and I have been engaging in an experiment. I don't know if you've known about this, but I've been engaging in an experiment called How Poor Does a Hotel Bathtub Have to Be for Me Not to Want to Take a Bath in It?
So what are the qualities of a tub?
Well,
you're looking for in a tub?
There's cleanliness, obviously. That's probably at the top of the list for me. And then there's depth and width and length, all of which are important. And of course, in the opinion of America's hotels, are important in that, you know, more of them means more water wasted. So they try to absolutely minimize the depth, length, and height of a bathtub, which has meant that I've taken a lot of baths where I was like, I feel like a big person in a tiny, tiny bathtub. I feel like this bathtub was made for 3-year-olds.
Curled up in a little ball in the fetal position on your side, just being like, how do I get more of my body into the water?
Just barely get my knees wet or my shoulders wet. Never both.
It occurs to me that this may be why I don't take baths, because this is what my bathtubs have always been like in my homes.
Oh, no, that's one of the first things that I made sure of.
Like, I can't get my knees and my shoulders in at the same time.
Oh, well, then what is the point of going on living?
Yeah, okay. Maybe I don't like baths because I've never had a true bath.
Oh, my God. I imagine being 37 years old and discovering for the first time ever how good
I've been
baths
in hot tubs.
can be. Hot tubs are not baths. Hot tubs are filthy.
Hot tubs are taking baths with a bunch of people.
Do you know?
Let's all take a bath together is basically what what you say when you say let's go in the hot tub. What a weird idea. Let's all go take a bath together, but with pants on, hopefully.
Oh, God, I don't want to talk about hot tubs. It's funny, for somebody who really loves baths, I really hate hot tubs.
I think that's understandable, because like the bath water, you make it go away. This is my main problem with baths, is that I feel like I'm in butt water, because my butt's in the same water that it's like hot butt water, because my butt's yeah. So, but in a hot tub, it's like ancient butt water. It's like the butt water of potentially thousands of people. And on different days.
Yeah, that's what I kind of feel about the hotel bathtub. But so far, it hasn't dissuaded me. And as you know, I brought bath salts and bath bombs.
I do know this.
And so almost every night after the show, I'm enjoying some bath salts and bath bombs. Before we get to the questions from our listeners, we just have to mention one thing really quickly, which is that very soon after this podcast is uploaded, Hank and I will be, almost all the tour is sold out, except for San Francisco, where Hank and I are going to be on Halloween. It's going to be a Halloween spectacular. There's going to be a costume contest. Hank and I are going to be extensively costumed. And
there may be costume changes.
My Halloween costume for the San Francisco show is so freaking good.
I don't know what it is.
It's so good. I don't want to brag, but it's phenomenal. So if you want to get tickets to see us in San Francisco, you can do that at turtlesallthewaydownbook.com. But you can't get tickets to see us anywhere else. Sorry.
Don't we have Pleasanton?
Oh, Pleasanton. Yeah. Also in the San Francisco area. There are also tickets available for that.
On November 1st.
Yeah, on November 1st. Or possibly October 30th.
I think it's November 1st, but I could be wrong.
Who knows? Point being, we're looking forward to the last week of our tour. And
Yeah.
also looking forward to being back home with our families.
The nice thing about catching the tail end of the tour is that we're good now. We've got it sewn up. We know what we're doing. I know where all my laugh lines are. And I might throw a new one in to see how it goes. And like as the tour goes, I'm like, I know all the best. I know how to do it best.
We're better. I wouldn't say we're good yet.
I
but
think we have
hopefully-
put together like a pretty stellar experience, honestly. Like I walk out of that show and I'm like, we did, like it was tight. There was a lot of ups and downs. Hey, I'm not just trying to sell tickets here, but I am trying to sell tickets in addition to other things.
I love the confidence of my brother and also wish for it. Let's answer some questions from our listeners, Hank. This question comes from Matt, who writes, Dear John and Hank, why does the AM PM change at 12 instead of 1? This makes no sense. Step over the door, Matt.
No, step over the doormat. Why don't you just step on the doormat? That's what the doormat's for.
I would
Matt.
step on it.
Yeah. I don't care about the bottom of my shoes touching other people's bottoms of their shoes.
No.
It's not like a hot tub situation.
No, it's really kind of the opposite of a hot tub situation. Like I have like 3 layers of protection between me and the doormat.
The
most of
doormat's
time.
not getting to my toes, and even if it does, like, what do I care what my feet are experiencing? They're gross anyway. I'm not going to put them in my mouth.
Oh, unless you're a baby. So we have to cut that, Nick. Nick's in the room. For the first time ever, Nick's in the room. So now when I say we have to cut that, Nick, I'm actually speaking to Nick.
Yeah.
Nick, we have to cut that.
Keep it. Keep all of this.
All right.
So I looked this up, and then I forgot.
Yeah. Great.
Which I've done many different times. So it just be basically like AM means before noon, and PM means after noon. And so, yep.
Yeah.
So with a switch from PM to AM happens when it becomes before noon.
Yeah. Right. And so it is before it is after midnight and before noon at 12:01.
And the important thing to note
Yeah.
is that in everywhere else,
Mm-hmm.
that's not midnight. It's midnight, but it's not 12. It's 0.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
They always talk about 0800 hours or 0 dark 30.
Oh,
0
my.
dark 30 being the 30 minutes after midnight. 0 daytime 30. I'm going to level with you, Hank. I'm not in the military.
The 0 day 30. That doesn't sound like a thing that's happened.
I think it's called 0 dark 30 and 0 bright 30. That's my
Bright
guess. 0 bright 30. Yeah, so it's just like, hey, everybody, we're going to meet for the big raid at 0 bright 30.
So 0 dark 30 is a very late or very early time of day.
What is the
Some
opposite of 0 dark
unspecified
30?
time between midnight and dawn, apparently, according to the onlineslangdictionary.com.
Oh, yeah, great. The poor man's urban dictionary.
Or half an hour past midnight.
That seems more like it. 0 dark 30 is half an hour past midnight. What's half an hour past noon? Is it just 12:30? That's what it is. It's 12:30 because they
certainly not
they use
0 day 30.
They use a 24-hour calendar, so that's what it is.
Calendar.
It's 12:30. Yeah, it's a calendar, Hank, a 24-hour calendar.
It's a wall calendar.
We're moving on to the next question. This question comes from...
What do you have the new Apple iCalendar?
Yeah, it's great. That's how I get my... I actually make that mistake frequently when I'm setting my alarm because we've had to get up at weird hours on this tour, and I always hit calendar, and then I'm like, where's my alarm clock? So actually, yes, that is true. This question comes from... It's your turn to ask a question.
This question comes from our listener Greta, who asks, Dear Hank and John, my best friend and I have our first class of the day together, and she is a forgetful person. I am this person, by the way. Almost every day she asks me for a pen to borrow. I don't know why I never brought pens to school, but I am this person, which is fine with me. But then throughout the class, she chews on it? No, I am not this person. No, your friend Greta is no longer your friend, Greta. This person is not your friend. Greta?
I think I've done this before.
Chewed on someone else's pen?
Well, I am an inveterate pen chewer, or I was when
Sure.
I was in college and high school. Of course, I no longer own or use pens except Sharpies. Hashtag sponsored. This whole tour, by the way, I've been signing with the Sharpie sent me 96 free Sharpies because I guess they don't listen to the pod. And the whole tour, I've been signing with my green Sharpies that say John Green's #1 marker. And in almost every city, a bookseller is like, did you get personalized Sharpies made? And I'm like, I'm not sure if it makes it better or worse that I got personalized Sharpies sent to me.
Yeah, asked for personalized Sharpies.
I didn't ask for them in so many words, but I did @reply Sharpie and just let them know that I was a big customer.
You are a big customer. So Greta goes on to say, what am I supposed to do when she gives me the pen back? Take the slobber pen or just let her keep it? Yeah, let her keep it. She has now claimed she might as well have peed on it. Like, this is her pen now.
Is that how you claim ownership over your pens?
Just like, yeah, I have a drawer and I just pee in there a little every morning.
These are mine.
Yeah.
Hank takes the same approach to ownership as dogs do.
I mean, how else do you mark your turf, man? It's legal. It's like blockchain. It's better than blockchain, peeing on stuff.
Greta, here's the answer to your question. When the person hands you back the chewed pen, you look them dead in the eye and you say, I would like you to keep that pen and remember to bring it back tomorrow. And remember to bring it back every day for the rest of class.
Or Greta buys for $1.50 of like 25 pens. And then just has like a pen supply for her friend, and just like says like, you know, hey, we're buds, and I'm just gonna keep this in my bag, and this is already earmarked, and I've lost these pens.
Right.
And if the friend gives the pen back, you say you keep it, and if they're like, oh, I insist that you take the thing that I might as well have peed on, you just bring a Ziploc. And place it in there like it's an evidence bag. Just close it up.
And then just toss it in the trash as a way of making it absolutely clear that what you've done to the pen is unacceptable.
You bring a Ziploc, and then you take the pen from your friend and you place it in the Ziploc, and then you write out a little tag, like the date, and you place that and you zip it up right in front of her, or him. I don't know. You didn't mention the gender of this person.
Then when they go to visit you in your dorm room eventually, you have this like huge just framed collection of all the signed
it's like a sports room where they have like every one of the home runs from that year just like tacked up, but instead it's all of a sports room. A locker room, I think, is the place I was thinking of.
No, it's called a sports room. You know how sometimes people, like when their baby gets their first haircut, they keep a lock of the hair from the first haircut?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Has Oren had a haircut yet?
No.
Probably not. Mm-mm. So we did that. But one time I was visiting somebody. I'm not going to name them for reasons that will become obvious. And I went into the bathroom and I noticed that they had a huge collection of locks of hair. And I found out that they had saved a lock of hair from every haircut their child had ever gotten until the age of 18.
Were they like separately bagged, or were they just like in a pile?
No, they were framed.
Oh, each individual one?
Each individual one with a date below the frame. And I was like, who's...
Until 18?
So I came outside and I was like, hey, in your bathroom...
In a public space?
It's the guest bathroom. It wasn't like the only bathroom in the home. It was the guest bathroom. And so I was like... And they also had a really good art collection. So I thought maybe it's art?
Maybe it's art.
And I went in, so I was like, hey, who made the piece with the hair? Is art? And they said, oh no, that's our kid's hair. And I was like, oh yeah, no, of course.
That's totally normal.
That's normal. That's like, my friend Greta has a pen collection of chewed pens. It's very similar.
John, do you want to know the most, probably the most embarrassing thing about me?
Yeah. All right, so you guys didn't hear the most embarrassing thing because I decided it was too embarrassing for the pod. I made a kind of a team decision. Actually, not because Hank was concerned about how embarrassing it was, but because it's so embarrassing for me as somebody who loves Hank. So it's one of those things where like sometimes you need somebody to come in and care about you enough to say no. So instead, I'm just going to tell you the second most embarrassing thing about Hank for a little bit of context so you can understand how embarrassing the thing that you'll never hear about is. The second most embarrassing thing about Hank is that for about 18 months, he faked a British accent.
That's not entirely true.
It is entirely true.
It was like a Canadian British accent.
But
it was like if a British person moved to Minnesota when they turned 7.
He only spoke in that accent, and we would be like, Hank, we notice. It doesn't. You don't sound like yourself. And he'd be like, but whatever do you mean? So that's the second most embarrassing thing about my brother. This next question comes from Thomas, and you'll never guess why I wanted to ask it as I read it. Dear John and Hank, I pre-ordered John's new book with the goal of giving it to my girlfriend for Christmas. She doesn't usually read that much, but she's a huge fan of your book, so I decided to grab a signed edition as soon as I could. I normally have a hard time picking out gifts for her, which is why I decided to buy her a gift so early this year. Fast forward to this morning when the book arrives in my mailbox. I decided to message one of her friends to try and covertly dissuade her from buying herself a copy, and her friend told me that my girlfriend just this morning went out to the local bookstore and got a copy of Turtles All the Way Down, but she didn't buy it for herself. She got it to give me at Christmas. So now I know that we're both got each other the same thing for Christmas. My question is, should I get her something different, or is it okay to exchange copies of the exact same book?
It is not just okay.
It is adorable! Thomas, how have you failed to notice how incredibly cute this is?
It'll be like, and you're like, wow, this feels familiar. Continue.
P.S. Is it okay to read a book that you're planning on giving as a gift?
That's the better question. Because absolutely, yes, exchange the gift and pretend like you didn't know, and it'll be cute.
Yeah, ideally pretend that you didn't know. Like sometimes when I think some relationship dynamics dictate that you have to eventually reveal that you knew. But some relationship dynamics don't. I don't know how it works for you, Thomas. But is it okay to read a book that you're planning on giving as a gift? I think yes, as long as you read it very gently.
Read it gently, and maybe also say, I read this.
Right, and I loved it, and I'd like to talk to you about it. I hope you loved it, by the way, Thomas. That was presumptuous.
I read this, and I loved it. It was perfect, and it's got a starred review from the Library Journal of Children.
I found myself agreeing with The Guardian that it might be a new classic. Right. So,
yeah.
But I think it's okay to read a book. What I don't think is okay to read a book that you give as a gift, and I've had someone do this for me before, and they thought it was like sweet and romantic, and I thought it was a little bit presumptuous, was to read the book before giving it to me and to highlight their favorite passages. It's kind of sweet in a way, but in another way, it affects my read in a way that I don't necessarily like.
I don't know. That's interesting. I think that's a little bit like a mixtape to me. So you're not just giving the book now. You're saying, like, this is about me in some way. So, like, this book, I'm giving you this book, and it's something that I've kind of curated and created for you.
Right. I guess. Maybe it's just that this breakup didn't go that well, and now I'm biased by that experience.
Yeah, I think that there are both good and bad things to that. And I think that is sort of, to me, more acceptable if it's something like if it's a classic or if it's
Turtles All the Way Down, according to The Guardian.
New modern classic.
Yeah.
This next question,
is available at bookstores everywhere. By the way,
absolutely everywhere. You know, I went to the bookstore and the airport in Minneapolis, and it wasn't in the front display, and I went to the people and I was like, where's Turtle All the Way Down? They're like, well, it's in bestsellers and in YA. And I was like, what? Just two places? That's all you got? It should be out. Like, I should have to trip over them to get into the store. Come on. Dan Brown's all up in this business. Where's my brother? And then the person who I talked to was like, great show last night, by the way. She got me to sign the guest book. And she was a fan.
Very nice person.
Very nice
probably
person.
didn't need to get hard charged about Turtles All the Way Down placement, which I suspect probably also wasn't her call.
Not really her call. This next question, it comes from Paige, who asks, Dear Hank and John, I have a deep, burning question that has plagued me. Why have we not evolved to withstand a greater amount of heat in our bodies, specifically our mouths? The planet's climate is changing and has been for millions of years, so shouldn't I be able to drink a pumpkin spice latte at 140 degrees Fahrenheit without burning my taste buds off? Ow! Paige! Sounds like Paige is having a moment right here.
Yeah.
You needed to email us during it.
Yeah, well, I mean, here's my suspicion, and correct me if I'm wrong, Hank. Evolution, pretty slow. And also, it tends to focus on, major survival concerns.
Right. Pumpkin spice latte is pretty new. Also not a major survival concern. No, maybe in the future. It's just going to be, it's like the way the PSL graph has been going, it does seem like in a number of maybe 2 or 3 years, that will be all of food in the fall.
I didn't know what the PSL graph was, but then I figured it out from context. It's the pumpkin spice latte graph. Graph. Latte graph. Mother of God. It's the pumpkin spice latte graph. I mean, that's the new she sells seashells by the seashore. Goodness gracious. Yeah, but
we actually are better at eating hot food. Like our mouths are better at handling heat than like our hands are.
Really?
Than other skin places.
Oh, which is probably an evolutionary thing, because if it's good enough for the hands, it's definitely good enough for the mouth.
Yeah, that's part of it. And also, like, when we started cooking food, like, you put a lot of hot stuff in your mouth, and you don't want that to be a source of, like, infection. So mouth cells grow back very fast. So when you burn your mouth, it heals much faster than if you burn your skin. So, little something there.
I am not concerned about... Okay, I have a question. I have a related question about this. It's about tuatara.
Okay.
It's only tangentially related.
Have you ever given a tuatara pumpkin spice latte? Because that sounds interesting.
Not yet. I mean, but so many experiments are still waiting to be done on the world's tuatara. Here's my question. Tuatara, one of the oldest terrestrial vertebrates still around. Their body forms haven't changed much in 150 million years, but they have this incredibly fast rate of molecular evolution, like what's it called?
They mutate a lot.
Their cells mutate a lot, which makes some people think that maybe cells used to mutate a lot more than they do now, but makes other people not think that. Here's my question. Since they have this really high metabolic evolution rate, or since they have this really high molecular evolution rate compared to most newer animals, why haven't their bodies changed?
I mean, so you can kind of think of this a little bit like if you get to the bottom of a well, you might not be the deepest you can get in the well, but to get to another place, to get deeper, you have to get all the way back out of the well and go down a different hole.
Oh.
So tuatara might have sort of gotten to as good as they can get without sort of like starting over a lot.
Right. Okay.
So like it definitely, like, they are pretty close to as good as they can get for the strategies that they're using.
Right, but they're not great, I have to say, at most things.
Yeah.
Like, tuatara are really good at living for a long time and at hanging around on Earth for 150 million years, and those literally the only two things they're really good at.
The other thing is, like, evolution is spurred by a lot of different things, and like differentiation is spurred by a lot of different things, and that can be like you need evolutionary pressure. So if there isn't a lot of evolutionary pressure forcing them to adapt, then they might not adapt very much. Like, they might just sort of like keep all of the things that are working for them working, and that's the main goal of being a tuatara. And also, you don't, because tuatara are sort of they were just in one place, just on the mainland of New Zealand and surrounding islands.